Okay, so starting off the God Kings and moving to the actual play of the game as opposed to my somewhat lackadaisical rules description. And get used to those. And this one in particular, I don't think I gave a lot to differentiate this from some other CDG style games. But you know, really there isn't all that much when it comes down to it. There's this central point of the king being your most powerful piece, able to command everything, and his additional strength. There were some things I think I kind of missed out. For one thing, on your battle rolls, I didn't count the modifiers in. Those are pretty standard to CDGs, but here there's a little twist on it. Instead of so the modifier is going to be a sum of essentially your battle ratings, any action cards. You get points for having political control of the province. You get 1 point for that, or 2 if it's a home country province. If you have a general there, you get a slight terrain bonus, and you get that divisional integrity bonus. Every division that's complete and on the board gives you a plus in the battle. It gives you a +1. You need all 3 counters there, but they can be partial strength. Okay, great. So what do you do with all these points? Well, you compare them, and whoever has the most has the right to use them as a positive or negative modifier to either person's die roll in the main battle. Intriguing little bit of mechanism, but it's not the kind of thing that's going to buy or sell, that's going to sell somebody the game here, right? It's not going to change your mind. What's going to change, what's going to really be interesting here is how well does the CDG mechanism go towards conveying this type of game? And I think we've seen with a number of prior games like Successors that it works fine. And I don't see it being a serious issue with the time scale. And then the other issue is going to be, how good a job do they do on the event cards? How interesting are they? How interesting is the game itself? That's something that's going to be kind of hard to judge, but at least we'll get to see it by seeing the playthrough. And hopefully for those of you I didn't completely turn off in the intro, well, you'll get to see something of interest here. All right, so I've set up, and what we see here is, first of all, the Mittani are powerful. Not only do they hold a lot of important locations, they have all 4 of their divisions on the map. They have 4 chariot units, but they're threatened on all sides. The Hatti set up this huge stack, and the Mittani, so setup order is Hatti, Egypt, Mittani, and then finally the Kassites over here, and they're kind of not right away threatening the Mittani, but the Hittites and the Egyptians have to set up first. And the Hittites, they have a fast king who's not a terribly great leader, not a terribly great combat leader. Big stack of units. The Egyptians, very, very lousy, I believe, queen, Hatshepsut. Slow, not terribly fast at 3. I don't know if they go any slower than that. I don't see anything worse than that. And a 0 modifier doesn't like to fight. Here's the problem. You're forced to use the king in a battle if you're defending. If you're attacking, you can use a lesser leader. So it's possible to shoot this warlord who's fast and a little better commander forward. But the difficulty with that is you have a really great Egyptian king waiting in the wings here under Thutmosis III. And you really want him to come in and be potent. Well, he shows up where the other king was. So I'm kind of going with a compromise solution here because I had to set up first, putting the queen in this case close to the border but not right on it, so she's not threatening things right away, and using really the best combat warlord to try to defend the line here. Alright, great. So with the Mittani, I have to make this choice, and I split up and try to match what I'm facing, and then send a small force here to expand into either Assyria or Mari. And at least, put some kind of brakes on any advance by the Kassite Babylonians. Well, for them, they have a fairly large army too, and a decent amount of space. They're sending someone out to grab Elam, and hopefully, from their point of view, they won't be facing Elamite barbarians anytime soon. And they've got significant force under an okay king, nothing great. The Mitanni king is pretty good, actually, at 2-2, very good. And then a kind of warlike warlord. Plans to advance forward, but not doing that as quickly as here. I'm not sure why I made that choice. But choices are made, right? Well, we're going to deal out some cards, and I guess we'll get started. Okay, so one of the little things I was worried about, how do you determine the turn order at the beginning of the game? I didn't mention this, but I didn't realize. But it's fixed for the scenarios. So in the campaign scenario, the Mitanni are going first, Hatti, Egypt, and Kassites. And when it really comes down to it, it's where do you go in relation to the Mitanni? They have to go first. Let's take a look at some of their cards. I haven't really looked at any of the cards yet, except a glimpse here and there. Wisdom of Horus. Activate an army with additional movement points. Alternatively, it's a 3 command point card, which could be useful for non-activations. But this is a sweet activation card, allowing you to shift quicker. Ziggurat building. You get 2 victory points, but it comes at a price. You must destroy 18 steps from any of your units. Mercenaries can be chosen. Oh. So this is the kind of card that if it were late in the game, I think the Mitanni would love to play this on like turn 5 or whatever. And if it were turn 4, they might try to hold this. But as it is, losing their army at this point in the game, I don't know about that. Popular upheaval in a province of your choice, but not a home country. Remove all PC markers and spaces without 1 or more units. Interesting. Not really valuable at this point, but maybe later in the turn. Internal unrest. A king of your choice suffers a +1 penalty to his strategy rating for the duration of the current turn. It's harder to activate. The penalty applies only if, when activated, he ends movement in a space outside his home country. I don't know. There are, I believe, internal unrest cards. There's neutral activated. There they are, internal unrest. Little counters to mark that. It's kind of nice. Wrath of Assur. This is an action card. An army takes attrition immediately. Hey, we haven't talked about attrition, have we? Better look that up. Takurum Prosperity. Place a full-strength chariot with any one of your generals. Sounds like a useful thing. Popular upheaval. Again, this allows you to get rid of the PC markers in a province. Well, most of that doesn't look terribly valuable to him, but let's take a look at, what was it, the attrition. This may be what he wants to do anyway. So, yeah, it's not a really heavy rule book, but there's no index. There is a sequence, though, here, and I'm assuming attrition is going to be under movement, and it's odd that we didn't notice this. So I remember reading the rules for it. There we go. Some events call for an attrition roll. Okay, it's only an event-based thing. If an army or units suffer from attrition, you roll a die by unit. If there's fewer than 10 in the area, each 6 does a step loss. If it's 10 or more, each 5 or 6 does a step loss. Yeah, so that's kind of a chance of wiping the whole thing out, but not very likely. What are we going to do with these Mitanni? Well, I got to kind of think about it, and this is going to be very painful in this game, like it is in multiplayer CDGs across the board, really, but my physical setup makes it worse. We're going to have to check other people and see, hey, do they want to react to that card? What do they want to do? I'll be back in a moment after considering the Mittani cards. Well, I chose to play the Tamkarum Prosperity, giving the Chariot unit. I'll put that out here at C, but I'm going to put it here. And the Mittani, or the Hadi, have already checked to see, did they want to prevent that? Nobody else really cares because he's choosing that. So they did not have a card, or they didn't have a card that could prevent that. Whether or not they'd want to is a different matter. So that's actually the first step here. And we're done with the Mittani for this first impulse in the round. Basically, they didn't have a lot of choices. They make a succession roll. Well, there's no succession possible. The only person who has a succession right now is the Egyptians. And where are we? Not there. They played their strategy card and they got no victory points off of it. So they're done, and now we go to the next player. And again, there's going to be 5 rounds of this, so it's kind of like a Sword of Rome or Here I Stand type of game, or Successors for that matter, where there's a lot of actions going on, and each player has many card plays in a single turn. Most of the multiplayer CDGs work out that way. Alright, let's keep going with the Hadi. Well, the Hadi opened things up with a big cost card for them in terms of it's a 3-point card, Exhaustion of the Kingdoms, and they're playing this on themselves and Mittani, and it basically prevents them from fighting each other. Choose 2 player powers. These powers may not battle each other for the duration of the current turn, may not remove each other's PC markers, nor enter provinces or spaces controlled by each other. This frees up the Hadi to leave their border. Of course, it's also going to free up the Mittani to leave that border, but they have other worries and may not want to divert that force, but the Hadi have a strong desire to try to gain more of Asia Minor, and this is going to give them that shot. Okay, so now we move on to the Egyptians. The Egyptians are going to open things up by playing a 3-point card for the Succession. That's going to give them a succession, I believe, on a 1 through 4. Let's take a quick look at how that actually works. Succession roll 19.3. Let's see. Ow. Don't have a lot of space here. I kind of forced my table. After the beginning of each round, must roll a die if he rolls strictly less than the number of the current round. Okay, so he's going to be subtracting 3, so he actually needs a 3 or less to get less than a 1. This is the first round. He'll make a roll for that. He wants his good leader. He gets him. That's a bonus because he gets to get rid of this questionable leader. I don't know what to do with her. I'll put her here for now. And he gets his good king. Now, here's the question. At least the Mittani are interested in canceling that. So I'm going to take a quick look, see if they have a card that could have canceled that. And now the Egyptians open up with the Mercenaries Arrive. They're using this for its 1 action point. It only takes 1 for them to move Thutmose. And he's got a movement allowance of 4 here with his forces. 1, 2, 3. Now he can pick everybody up because they're under this other commander. And he can move forward. And he's kind of scary big now. He doesn't take the territory. There could be an interception attempt there, but that would be a battle lost. So now he's marched forward and is in a strong position to really attack the Mittani at this point. And they're going to want to bring their own forces down, I think. Okay, well, that's it for the Egyptians. And now we're up to the Kassites. Let's see what they're doing. And the Kassites are going to play Enkidu, Companion of Gilgamesh. It allows him to activate a warlord. Hey, he's got these 3 pointers here. He's going to start that off. He's coming in 1, 2. He drops a control marker there. 3 and 4, and his army is only able to move 4, but he's now taking a big chunk of Mahdi over. That's it for him, and we're done with the first round there. I'll put my dice over here, move the round marker to 2, and things have moved along a little bit. I probably screwed up with the Egyptians by using Thutmose this early. It was only a 50-50 chance with that 3 card, and had I failed, I would have wasted the card, right? And the other thing is, I could have played cards that strengthen the Egyptian position while I wait until I have a better chance of bringing him into play. It all worked out okay. I'm fine with it. And this is just a learning game. So right now what we're seeing is this move forward by the Egyptians here. Our Babylonians are expanding into Assyria and Mari, actually. Both of them, when they can, because they have a very cool card, which they want to play, which is King of the Four Worlds regions. If you control Sumer, Mari, and Assyria. Well, they own Sumer, Mari, and Assyria. They'll get 3 victory points. Victory points are what you're going for in the game, in the long run. So getting a quick jump on those early on seems like a good idea. Even if I can't get it right away on this turn, if I can build towards it, I can hold that card. You can only hold a card every other turn, though, which is why there's this, you can keep a card this turn marker. If you do so, you've got to flip it over, so you can't just keep holding a card turn after turn after turn. That prevents players from holding on to a single card that they really want to work and score with, like that one, against all situations. So in this case, they probably can take them in 2 turns, but we'll see what happens. Alright, I'm going to load this one up, and I don't know, I like the way it's playing right now. Very simple, very light. Feels kind of nice. I don't mind it so much here.